everyone and welcome to the quarterfinals of my standard PPTQ tournament report. As I was the 8th seed coming into the top 8, I faced the number 1 seed, a player that went 5-0. And the opponent was playing White Weenie with a light splash of green for them protector and I think Dromoka's command. So, what's the base of this white deck? Well, you can, if you imagine the metagame, you have the extremely fast decks that have more fragile creatures like a Tarkaret and a Green Landfall. And then, on the more middle part of the spectrum, you have decks like Abzan that play Unoffensive Siege Rhino but are slower. So, this fits right in the middle. The thing why this deck is quite good is because it completely beats up the red deck. It's the perfect anti-red deck for the reason that it's just a tiny bit bigger. It's equally fast, almost equally fast, but much more efficient and much more powerful. You have cards like Knight of the White Orchid, as you can see, and Constant Lieutenant that have First Strike. This is just a huge blowout against the red decks. And then Unoffensive King Tree Spirit, which generates value. So I think the last format we would have called this Mono White Devotion, but since there is no more Devotion, it's just White Weenie. That's like the base of this deck. You have these very, very efficient and actually quite powerful 2-drops. I must say that Constant Lieutenant is really, really good in racing situations, for blocking, very good with an Offensa. Yeah, it's just an overall very powerful card. I think it's really underrated, and I think it's possible to see more play as soon as the powerhouses like Siege Rhino and Mantis Rider and so forth rotate out. So that's the cheap part of his deck. And then he's playing Stasis Snares removal, which is quite a good addition because Mono White removal is usually not that great. I mean, we had Banishing Light in the last format, but having an instant speed creature removal that exiles is actually quite good. What's the payoff for playing all these white cards, playing almost Mono White? Well, you have the cards that I showed before, which were Knight of the White Orchid, Unoffensive, and Constant Lieutenant that cost double white. But then you also have Archangel of Tithes. Yes, this card is huge. If your opponent doesn't kill it, well, they're probably going to lose. And then we have Dem Protector as a very nice backup card. Dem Protector really gives you some more reach and brings back the powerful creatures. What happened in the match? Well, game 1, my opponent was on the play. Moved to 5, and I drew 2 Dromoka's commands and 2 Murderous Cuts. So, in that scenario, it's actually quite simple. I mean, he killed my first creature, but whatever. The fact is, if you are on the draw, you have 8 cards in your starting hand, including the draw. Your opponent has 5 cards on the play. So you're up 2 to 3 cards, pretty much. And my opponent also flooded out a little bit. I mean, he got to 5 lands, so his ratio of lands to creatures was not that great. And yeah, I mean, I just killed all his creatures and he died. Thing is, game 2 really showed how this matchup plays out. He was on the play again. He had a good draw. He played Unoffensive. He played his creatures. Well, what happens if I have a good draw? I had Warden. Second turn, level up Warden. Third turn, Unoffensive. I was like, well, maybe I can't attack anymore. Then I played a Rhino, and this completely shuts down his deck. Because, except for Archangel of Tithes, there is pretty much nothing that can get through Rhino. Well, he played an Archangel of Tithes the next turn. And what did I have? My one of Obnixilis, and man, that was a good one. Kill the Archangel. He was not able to kill the Obnixilis, and let's just say the turn after I played Obnixilis, I had the option to play Rhino, Testiger, and Warden in one turn. Yeah, it was not close. He didn't draw really any removal, and the best part was that my Unoffensive in play exiled his creatures, so he actually had a Dem Protector face down, but it just did nothing. I mean, yeah, it literally did nothing. I mean, he could have brought back a land, but whatever. And yeah, I mean, the game really was more of a joke. I felt really sorry for my opponent because I was just grinding with Tasigur and Dem Protector and Obnixilis, and I think I killed him with like 7 cards in hand and 8 creatures or something. So yeah, that was not close. But the problem really is that this White Weenie deck, it beats up the mono red decks, and it also beats up quite well the slower decks. It's very good against tokens because of the first strike. It's very good against all the ramp decks because it's so fast. But there is one sweet spot, and that's Abzan. Because the thing this white-weenie deck does to the red matchup, which is being a little bit more efficient, a little bit bigger, and just a little bit slower, well, the same thing Abzan does to the white-weenie deck. We're just a little bit slower, but not too much. We have better removal, we have more powerful creature, it's more card advantage. The very fast decks to the control decks, and the thing is, if you're just one step ahead, like one step slower, you're usually in a good position. Like, because the thing is, then they can't leverage the fact that they are faster. I mean, what can they do when when they play a bunch of 2-drops, like a bunch of 2/2s and 3/2s and whatever, and you just play Warden into an Offensa into Rhino? Like, sure, they can suicide their stuff into yours, but if they don't have any of the big payoff cards like Archangel or a lot of removal, their swarming strategy just doesn't work. And the fact that we have cards like Obnixilis, Tasigur, Wingmate, of course he also has Wingmate, but cards that just generate so much value and clump up the board in such an annoying way, well, I don't think this deck stands a very good chance against Abzan. I think it's a good deck. There is power there. I really salute my opponent for playing this deck and going 5-0 with it on a standard PPTQ. But yeah, I think it's very poorly positioned against Abzan. I don't know how the matchup is against Esper Dragons. I believe it might be close as well. It really depends, because I think this deck just completely falls to Languish decks, like decks that have sweepers for 4 and 5 mana. But as these decks aren't very prevalent right now, there might be the spot where this deck is very good. Also, I don't see the game really going well against the rally decks, since they have some exile stuff, but the interaction is very slow. So yeah, I think it's a very interesting choice, and I mean, the result speaks for itself. But man, this match, it was just crushing. I mean, you had no chance at any point of any of the games. So yeah, I moved on to the semifinals, and see you there.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, it really helps us out. You can find us on Twitter at MagicGathStrat, Facebook /MagicGatheringStrat, or on the web, magicgatheringstrat.com. There you can find articles and free prize-supported leagues. This is all brought to you by our Patreons and cardhoarder.com. If you enjoyed this content, please consider supporting us at patreon.com/MagicGatheringStrat.